An incident during a pro-Palestinian rally in Montreal Sunday is being investigated by the hate crime unit. During the protest, a mock hanging of 3 politicians, including Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, was depicted. These actions and the rise in anti-Semitism were condemned by politicians on all levels of government. Joining us now to discuss how this is being addressed is Anthony Housefather, Member of Parliament for Quebec's Mount Royal area. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so you took to social media strongly condemning this. What was going through your mind when you saw this happen in downtown Montreal?
Well, I wasn't there present personally, but I heard from a Montreal City Councillor who was there that the police had failed to act. And I think that the main thing to note is we talk about it 3 politicians, but for the vast majority of people passing by, what they saw was a Jewish man wearing a kippah, which is a Jewish religious symbol on his head, making it evident to the population that this is clearly a Jewish person being lynched or being hanged in effigy, and that in itself is incitement. It's unacceptable, and you know, beyond all of the other anti-Semitic incidents that have happened around the world, including the shootings in Bondi, including people being killed in the UK and in the United States. And a woman being stabbed in Ottawa, the Jewish community is on edge, and this just crosses the line in every way. Like no politician, nobody should be hanged in effigy at any protest. It's entirely unacceptable. But when you have somebody who's visibly of one religion, a minority religion, who are the subject of 70% of religious-based hate crimes in the country, when they're 1.2% of the population, it's even worse.
Well, Montreal for Palestine, the group behind the demonstration, is on social media defending itself and its right to protest. Members do say that they reject all forms of hate, including anti-Semitism, and that the effigies displayed, they were directed specifically at political figures, as we mentioned, Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, as well as Donald Trump. What is your response to that? You said, what is your message for them? What's your response?
My message for them is hanging people in effigy crosses a line in this country. It's violent and it's insightful and it's unacceptable. And again, you know, this is the same group that chants intifada, which means revolution, revolution on the streets, and yells hateful chants that Canadian Jews view as a message towards them. This is a group that protests outside Jewish community buildings. It's completely unacceptable. Part of this will be addressed by the Combating Hate Act when it makes its way through the Senate and becomes a law of Canada. But what the main issue here is that police have the opportunity under existing law to act. The mayor of Montreal has now noted that this was totally unacceptable, and she's going to be speaking to the police. I reached out to the police as well. We as politicians cannot direct the police as to what to do in a specific incident, but certainly the municipal police force that responds to the mayor and council of the agglomeration of Montreal has gotten a serious message from Mayor Martinez Ferrada, which was something that was entirely absent under previous Mayor Plante. And hopefully this will be a lesson to police that they're supposed to enforce the law. This could have been de-escalated much, much faster had the police acted and had people brought to the attention of this group that what they were doing rose to the level of incitement, which I think it does. Like again, it's violent. It's unacceptable. You can think whatever you want about these 3 politicians. I certainly have no fondness for any of the 3 of them, but that is completely unacceptable.
Well, this has all come at a time where tensions are quite high. There has been so many concerns within the Jewish community. We've seen so many incidents happening. Anti-Semitism in this country has risen sharply in recent years, recent months. What do you think are some of the contributing factors behind this?
I mean, there's an international rise of anti-Semitism since October the 7th. There's a conflation of the fact that the Jewish community in Canada, for sure, and across the world, Israel is our ancestral homeland, and there's a support for the existence of the state of Israel and for the ability of Israel to defend itself. It doesn't mean we agree with every policy of the Israeli government, but we certainly support the existence of Israel, and as a result, we're Zionists. And people who don't understand what being a Zionist is, that it means you believe that Israel has a right to exist as a state, believe that they can attack every group in Canadian society or across the world who are Zionists. And that is a big part of it. It's people who just attack Jews because they don't like policies of the state of Israel, which is entirely unacceptable. Canadian Jews have no relationship with what actions the government of Israel takes, yet we're being attacked here and across the world because of people who don't like that. And then there's other groups who just hate Jews purely because they're Jews, and they've become much more visible and much more active lately. And while it's a small percentage of the Canadian population, the amount of visibility that these people have, the demonstrations outside of Jewish community buildings, the feeling of unsafety of Jewish students on campus made to be feeling uncomfortable, the unsafety of Jews in workplaces where Jews feel they can no longer be visible as Jews and hide their identities, is something that I've never seen in my lifetime in Canada or in any other country across the world where this is happening. And then there's also a feeling of powerlessness because we don't understand why all the other Canadians who are not Jewish are not noticing this and speaking out and telling people that they have to stop. Because, of course, governments can pass laws and regulations, but governments can't change the attitudes on the street very easily. It's people. It's when you have a family member that's doing something anti-Semitic, or a friend or some colleague in the workplace. It shouldn't be up to the Jewish person to stand up for themselves. It should be for others to stand up and say this is unacceptable. And so far, that has not happened to the extent it should in this country.
Well, from a governmental perspective, though, what is being done to address anti-Semitism here in Canada? And what more do you think your party, the Liberal Party, can do to curb incidents that we're seeing here?
So one of the big problems is because of our multi-jurisdictional nature, a lot of the issues are within provincial jurisdiction or municipal jurisdiction, right? Municipal police forces that have jurisdiction here are hired by the municipalities. So the odious demonstrations in Toronto and Montreal, where the Jewish community feels police are not acting, fall under the municipal government and then under the powers of the province. Universities fall under the powers of the provinces and universities, the administrations themselves. What the federal government has done is we've passed the Combating Hate Act through the House, which again gives all the tools to police that they asked for to be able to better combat hate against all groups, including Jews. I very much hope that becomes law soon. We've given $145 million now for security, for the Canadian Community Security Program, and $10 million in emergency security money to the Jewish community. And we have been trying our best to get out the message that this is completely unacceptable and needs to stop. And that there is no place for this in the country. And I know the Prime Minister, feels very, very strongly about it, and I think we'll be hearing more from him on this soon.
All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us about this important topic today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
That is Anthony Housefather, Member of Parliament for Mount Royal.